What's good everyone? Welcome back to another video. So in this video, I want to make it an educational one where I'll teach you how to anticipate and know when to buy or sell crypto. Also, towards the end of the video, I want to share with you guys whether I think this is the bottom for the crypto market and what are my plans. So stay tuned. Alright, let's just jump into the video. So first up, we need to pay attention to the US dollar and what is the macro environment doing to the dollar. So why do we care so much about the US dollar? So firstly, it's the world's reserve currency. And why is that so? It's because the global business are denominated in the dollar and the US dollar is the most liquid form of exchange. So for those of you that travel a lot, you guys might already know that it's very easy to use the US dollar in different countries because for this reason, it is the most liquid form of exchange in the world. So therefore, the US dollar is very important in the economy, and therefore whatever happens to the US dollar will ultimately affect the macro environment and the markets. As you all know, most of us trades against the US dollar pair. So for example, BTC/USD, you always see these in the markets, or ETH/USD or whatever pair or whatever crypto and altcoins you trade, is normally against the US dollar. So whatever happens to the US dollar, if it goes down, BTC and ETH usually goes up. It works inversely. So same vice versa, if the US dollar goes up, Bitcoin ETH goes down. Very similar to the stock market. So that's the first thing, the US dollar. You need to pay attention to what is happening to the US dollar every week, and so you roughly gauge on where the market is going. The second thing you need to know is what are the macro events happening right now in the world. There are certain events where you really need to pay attention, and these can lead to very volatile markets. Whether the markets will go up or down, these are the macro events which you need to take note of every single week before you trade or whenever you decide when to buy or sell. Whenever the US economy releases their CPI data, so what do I mean by CPI data is basically the inflation rate of the economy. And so usually every month, the US economy will release their CPI data for the month. Basically put, if inflation rises, that is bad for the economy. And then market goes down. That's it. Alright? Another event to take note is the non-farm payroll data release, where this only happens every first Friday of the month. The US economy will release their non-farm payroll, their unemployment rate, and these are very important events as well. And I mean, obviously, if the unemployment rate goes up, obviously market goes down. Very simply put. And lastly, another important macro event is when one of the Federal Reserve members talk. And the most important one is, of course, Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve. Whenever they talk, they would impact the market as well. So depending on whether they are dovish, which is a good thing for the market, or they are hawkish, which is bad for the market, these will in turn affect the market. So these are the main events you need to take note of. So some of you might ask me, how do I know when are these data going to be released and exactly which time or which date? So because I have a Forex background, I always use this website to foresee when are these events going to happen. So every Sunday before the week starts, I would take a look at what's happening the next week and what are the important events happening. So for example, as you can see here, they have listed all the different countries and what all the different kinds of events that will take place, the timing as well. So these are mostly in Singapore timing, is my country's timing. And yeah, so it will reflect whatever timing you are at. Another good thing about this website is they will label which country's events are these and how important are these events to the markets. So as you can see here, I'm just zooming in for USD. This is on last Friday, which is I think on the 11th or the 10th of June. They released the CPI data, which was recorded at 0.6%. It was forecasted to be 0.5%. So that's actually an increase of the forecast. So most people did not expect this to happen, and therefore this was a bad thing as inflation is higher than expected. And therefore this in turn made the market bleed hard on Friday, if you guys remember. So you can just use this website, Forex Factory. Even if you guys don't trade daily or you are not trading Forex, this is also a pretty important website to roughly gauge when are the important events are going to take place. Alright, so check this website out. Next up, for my third point, you need to know the exact timings during the day which are volatile. So for crypto markets, there are essentially only about two major timings which you guys need to take note, which is super volatile. The first one is usually the daily candle open. This will take place at 8 PM Eastern every day. The second timing, which is pretty important, is at 9:30 AM Eastern. This is when the New York Stock Exchange open. And why does this correlate with the crypto markets? It's because the crypto markets tie very deeply with the equities and stock exchange markets. This is because it all correlates with the US dollar as well, as I mentioned on the first point. So just take note of these 2 points. And normally when I trade, I usually wait for the first candle to open first, be it the 8 PM Eastern candle or the 9:30 AM Eastern candle, to determine where the market will go. And also the fourth point I want to bring in is check out the VIX chart, which is basically the volatility of the S&P 500 chart. So why do I like to see this chart as well? This is because, later I'll bring you to the charts, so I'll mention this first. Whenever the VIX chart trades at 50 and above, this usually marks the market bottoms. And also, whenever you see the VIX chart starts to rise, that means there is a lot of fear in the market and stock and crypto markets will go down. So vice versa, when the VIX chart starts to head downwards, this means that the market has come down and in turn, crypto and stock markets go up. Okay, so moving on to the charts. This is the VIX chart. You can see a lot of wicks around at every candle, right? This is because the VIX chart moves very quickly and fear also always moves quickly in the market. And as you can see here, at this point, this was the 2020 March crash, the COVID crash. And the VIX chart went berserk, went over 60 and hit at a high of 85, which is almost one of the highest points in the entire history of the VIX chart. And this is where the crypto market actually bottomed. After that, it began to rise. So this is a very good way to determine when the market bottoms. Another point where this happened was back in the 2008 crash, financial crash. The VIX chart also rose tremendously above the 50-60 region, hitting even higher than the COVID crash, I think about 96. Okay, and that was also the market bottom. So do use this VIX chart to your advantage as well to determine how much fear is in the market. Now the VIX is trading at 34 to begin the month, and yeah, the support's around the 20 region. So whenever you see the VIX at 20-ish, the markets would usually rally because there isn't much fear in the markets and there are more greed. To tie everything up, this is basically more of a fear and greed index where, markets are all moved by fear and greed. When there's more fear, markets are down. When there's more greed, markets are up. But that would help you to determine whether to buy or sell. So for those of you who are still watching at this point, I will just give you my thoughts on the crypto market and on BTC and ETH. So as you can see here, the market tanked really badly this morning. It hit a low of 20,880. And do I think this is the bottom? And in my opinion, I think the Bitcoin market has bottomed. Why? Because actually I thought the bottom was at about 22,600. This is the previous support back in December 2020. That was a pretty decent support on the daily chart, and so I thought that was the bottom, but because this morning there was a data release where they were saying that the interest rates will be raised to 0.75% for the next 2 months, and therefore the market is trying to price that in, and that is why the market tanked to 20,000 regions. What I think is the market cannot go much lower than this already because it priced in the rate hike. It is super oversold right now. This is the RSI. For those that don't know what is this is basically an indicator indicating the relative strength index, and this is where you can see whether the market is oversold or overbought. This is just a guide basically, and it is way oversold. Okay, so that is why I think this is the bottom. And on ETH, even better correlation, I have called ETH bottom at the region of the 1100 to 1200 regions. I've called this many times the past months, and as you can see here, it bounced perfectly off the 1100 mark and has rose about 10% from there already. I have DCA into ETH also at this point, and this is my main target for ETH anyway. And so this correlates with Bitcoin as well, bouncing off major support. Macro environment, same thing, it has priced in all the negativity already. And now on Twitter as well, so many people are calling for the Bitcoin market to go even lower down to the 16k regions. And as you all know, when everyone thinks the same way, it's normally the other way. So many people are so bearish right now, and therefore I am bullish. So I already have done my part in buying into the market. So this is just my opinion, not financial advice. And I've told everyone in my Discord group my plans already. So yeah, if you want to keep up with what I'm actually doing in the crypto markets and what I'm doing with NFTs, just join my Discord. I'll link it down below as well. So yeah, hope this video helps you out. Hope these pointers will help you better anticipate the market and helps you to decide whether to buy or sell at a certain timing. And remember, the markets are always here, but your capital may not. Peace.